What's up, guys? This is Connor from Out of Work Outdoors, and we haven't done a lot of lure reviews as of the last 2 months because we've been testing a lot of them, and mostly we've been testing a lot of frogs, and these are some of the better ones that we've found. This is the Spro Poppin' Frogs by Dean Rojas. Okay, these are just two of the colors I just picked up because one, I know there's a lot of green frogs in my area with a black belly, so I'm trying to imitate those frogs, and two, I just wanted a very different color frog. There's about 8 different colors out there, I believe, and these are the top water style lures. For the people that don't know what kind of lures these are, hollow belly frogs, because they're hollow, they can compress. Okay, so that's what they are, and I bought both of these for about, I think this is $9.25, right around that ballpark area. Usually I've seen them as low as $7.50 when they're on sale to $10.99 at one other place. But pretty good weights on these. These feel like they're a good ½ ounce, and they're pretty durable. This one I've caught at least 10 fish on it, a lot of miss hits, and as you can see, it still looks pretty good. I mean, for 10 bass, it's pretty good. I haven't modified the hooks because I wanted to see how well the hookup ratio is, and the hookup ratio sucks, just like any other hollow belly frogs. Really, what you want to do is actually bend these hooks out even more. But this is how it comes in the package. I just didn't bend it because I kind of like a first experience with hollow belly frogs as well. If you watch our channel, you'll know that we're more striped bass species, white bass and other things like that. But we have a couple of ponds in our area, and we like to, hit the bass. When we don't have time to actually go out and fish, we'll go over to the neighborhood ponds and we'll hit them up, and those ponds are very good with frogs, so that's why we've decided to pick some frogs up and do the review. Anyhow, some of the modifications I've done is the feet, and what it does, what I'd like it to do is actually, if you shorten one leg more than the other, the frog, when it comes in, it'll still chug, which is pretty cool for this lure. It still chugs pretty good when you just do a straight chug, but when you I'd say jerk the slack, kind of, you can walk this as a top water bait, and it does do pretty good. It does go side to side, and it chugs at the same time. So doing this mod will actually do that for you, and giving you an idea of how far I've cut the legs off, kind of like that. So one is right on with the lip, basically, right here, and one goes about ½ inch beyond. So, but they come with really long legs as well. But that's all I've really done with it. And the other major thing is this thing doesn't come with a rattle, so I had to cut a slit in the top and just throw in 2 rattles. The rattles that I've used are just cheap rattles. These are not anything expensive, no glass beads or nothing like that, just some cheap plastic beads you can get. Throw them in there, and now you got a rattle. So when it comes by, it'll probably sound like that in the water. Not like that, but kind of like that. Plus a popping sound. And the other cool thing is this thing, when it's actually another thing I have to tell you is it takes on water pretty fast. So about 5 casts later, you'll probably have to squeeze this guy out. In my opinion, at least what I've seen is most of my strikes, they come by when this thing is about, I would say it's got a little bit of water in it. So if I was Spro, I'd probably wait it a little bit more so it'll sink a little bit more. Usually it seems like my hits come best when just the head is sticking out of the water. When you first cast this out, this whole thing sticks out of the water like that. But it hits best when it's kind of tipped in the water like that and only the head's coming out. So if I were to modify this even more, I'd probably have to stick maybe a little weight inside the belly, so it'll, I don't know, or maybe even dangle a weight off the back hooks or something, just so you can get that, that pop R effect where half the lure is actually in the water. It actually works really, really well. Caught pretty good sized bass on this, but it seems like I could never get like a good hook up on the lips or anything like that. I'll have to wait until it's almost like I almost swallow it, and I'll set the hook, and it'll get them really, really deep in the throat. Not in the throat where it's like kill them, but far enough back, like almost where the gills are, that kind of area, and it'll work pretty good. But I think if I had modified the hooks, it probably would have been a little bit better, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, I kind of want to see what we can do out of the package. But for size and durability, this thing is a good size. I mean, it's a little, let me compare it to another popular lure so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here it is. Kind of in relationship to other frogs, because this one is kind of unique. This is the Strike King KVD Sexy Frog. Okay, so that's the size for everybody who wants to compare. This definitely has a more slender profile than this one. This was more round, and if you look at them from the side, it looks like kind of like that. Okay, so size comparison for those guys that have wanted to know about size. Yeah, does it cast well? Yeah, it casts pretty well. After you put the beads in it, it casts even better, because the beads will actually slide to the back and then it'll go out. But both of these, I've tried both of them, both colors, and you see that the green one's a little bit more beat up because the green one is the one that actually works a little bit better in terms of colors. I did have a couple strikes on this one, but it seems like, after a while, if you seem to get more hits on a certain color, then you just tend to go with that certain color. So yeah, the green one definitely works better. I guess this one is designed to resemble like a bluegill or something, so it's got the red ears on here, where this one they just paint right over it. But looking at the front, kind of looks like this. Let's see if I can get a camera to zoom in. These are the mouths, which are kind of a unique design. Kind of like that. So, the bottom lip is a lot farther back towards the body than the front. And does it spit water very well? Not really. It's more of like a little, like a pop 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 than a squish squish squish. So I'll try to flash some video of that too, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, definitely on these, they are good. They're well made. The color selection's pretty good as well, and they do give you, the traditional black and traditional white. But knowing me, I like to go a little different, just because those colors will work, but at the same time, I have a black on the bottom. And if they're hitting on white, then I do have a bright color as well, so I'm not too worried about that. But what if they're not biting on that? What if you want them to do something a little different? So that's why I usually pick up colors that are a little bit different from what everybody else would pick up. And the tails are pretty durable. I haven't had anything come off on the tail or legs. And the legs actually come out, it's almost like they point up. It's almost like they point up. No, maybe not really, but it just looks like they point up. If you're looking at this compared to, say, the straight streamline of the body, they do point up, which is kind of cool. If it's sitting down like that in the water, they'll go straight out. And let's see. This is me throwing it on the dirt too, so just kind of practice in the backyard. It does look pretty good. How does it collapse? I think this is actually fairly hard plastic. It's not the softest plastic I've ever felt. The other thing I've noticed is this is a really flat top right here. A lot of lures don't have this flat top, which I think is a good thing. Now, going back to this, you have your eyes sitting on top. I think at times these eyes can actually get in the way of your hook set. So with no eyes on top of the hook set and real flat, when the fish bites down on it, kind of like like this or even like this, immediately there's nothing else to hold back between the lips of the fish and the hooks. So I believe the hooks can probably penetrate a little bit better, or there's no bump of while you're setting the hook really hard, and then the hooks can penetrate. So I think that's a good design in itself that I believe works. No scientific facts or statistics to back that up, but that's just what I think. So okay, so kind of want to end off this review because I don't fish them too much, and when I do tend to go with these popping frogs. They do come through grass and all that other stuff that hollow belly frogs will do or should do. They do it very well. I haven't had any snags or anything like that, even when I'm pitching them right into just thick brush and bringing them out. They do come a little harder than your traditional triangle heads, just because these are kind of flat nose. They will hit things and they'll kind of turn sideways before they can make it through the brush. But overall, pretty good. I am pretty impressed with it. It is some of the kind of more unique frogs on the market right now, because they do incorporate a popping action to them while they are still a frog. Usually the cadences or the retrieves I've caught them on is cast them out, let them sit, and like maybe every 2 seconds just pop them, maybe like an inch at a time. Work them near lily pads and things like that tends to work really good. Or the other one is just a non-stop popping, non-stop, but more longer pulls. Maybe for every pull it's a 6-inch pull with a pop, pull and pop, pull and pop, and I've been getting really good success with that, at least on this one in my ponds. So yeah, that's my experience on these frogs. I've had them for 4 or 5 months now. I fished them. This one I've fished at least 20 times, or 20 outings with this one, and on this one, what, 5 or 6. So I bring them with it, but I don't always switch them out. But yeah, pretty impressed with them. Threw them pretty good. They do cast very well. I know there's some lures that just don't, but these seem to do pretty good. I give them a good rating. Good rating from out of work on these lures.